O Mother Nui, stretch high above this valley. Your starry body is our glory. Then see the hawk of yonder Ahurquit, his fiery splendor, oh so mighty. He brings a light for all our weary souls. He makes the broken spirit whole.
Imagine trying to build like a brick wall to keep out a nightmare. It doesn't work. Because when the chaos you're trying to block is entirely in your own psychic environment, physical boundaries are just completely useless.
Right, yeah, they don't really do anything.
And that is exactly the problem Aleister Crowley was trying to solve back in 1929 with Liber XXV, which is also known as the Star Ruby. So welcome to today's deep dive. We're looking at how this really advanced banishing ritual fundamentally rewrote the rulebook.
It really did. I mean, it strips away all those traditional Judeo-Christian archetypes and replaces them with these intense classical Greek, Gnostic, and Neoplatonic formulas.
Yeah, and the mission here for you listening is to understand how this active clearing of psychic detritus actually prepares you for communion with the divine macrocosmic light.
Exactly. And, to understand why this was such a radical departure, you have to look at what it replaced.
Like the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram.
Yeah, exactly, the LBRP. Older rituals like that relied heavily on physical geometry. You'd be, like, physically drawing stars in the air with a dagger or just your fingers.
Right.
But the Star Ruby demands something completely different from you. It requires you to intensely visualize a flaming red pentagram in your third eye, the Ajna Chakra.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and you have to hold it there before you just violently fling it out.
So you're not actually tracing it in the room first. It's essentially like upgrading from sketching a 2D blueprint on a piece of paper to rendering a fully 3D virtual reality construct entirely inside your own mind.
That is a perfect analogy, yes.
Yeah.
But with one really major difference, which is that in this 3D construct, your central nervous system is the processor.
Okay, wait, what does that mean exactly?
Well, it places this immense demand on your astral plasticity, meaning your brain's ability to hold a really complex, vibrating image steady in your mind's eye without it just totally collapsing.
Right, which sounds exhausting.
It is. By forcing you to generate that magical barrier internally before externalizing it into the room, the ritual fundamentally shifts the operation into these higher archetypal realms.
So you aren't just pantomiming geometry anymore.
No, not at all. You are actually bearing the physical load of generating that psychic force.
And to generate that force, you really have to turn your body into a highly pressurized engine because you're walking Widdershins, right, which is counterclockwise.
Right, Widdershins.
And you do that to aggressively dismantle all that psychic static. Plus, there's this intense focus on deep diaphragmatic breathing and like very specific vocal instructions at the four quarters of the room.
Yeah, the sonic component is huge.
You roar Therion in the east, say Nuit in the north, whisper Babylon in the west, and bellow Hadit in the south. But hold on, if the whole point of this upgrade is that it's an internal mental VR construct, why am I screaming Hadit at the top of my lungs?
That's a great question.
Like, why does physical volume even matter if the barrier is supposedly psychic?
Because the mind and the body are locked in this incredibly tight feedback loop. I mean, homogenizing the vocals, just mumbling everything at the exact same pitch, that is actually the primary reason practitioners fail this ritual.
Wait, really? Just from the tone of voice?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because whispering Babylon, it isn't just a symbolic gesture. The physical act of whispering restricts your vocal cords and forces you to pull your breath and your focus inward.
Oh, I see. Mirroring supreme receptivity.
Exactly. And then bellowing Hadit, on the other hand, requires this maximum diaphragmatic push. You are physically forcing your nervous system to expel concentrated energy outward.
So the specific resonances are literally hacking your psychophysiological state.
Precisely.
So if your lungs and your vocal cords aren't acting as correctly tuned valves, the engine just misfires.
That is the exact mechanism. And that brings us to the climax of the ritual. Your mental engine is essentially redlining at this point.
Right, because you've built the Star of Five, the four flaming red pentagrams around you.
Yes. And the Star of Six, which is this descending pillar of divine light striking right through you.
Wow.
And to project those pentagrams, you use the sign of Horus. So you're actively thrusting your arms forward to forcefully open your aura and project the vital force.
But there's a catch here, right? Because immediately after thrusting your arms forward, you absolutely must use the sign of silence, which is bringing your finger to your lips.
You have to, yes.
So is the sign of silence basically like capping a high voltage wire? Like if you don't close the circuit, your own battery just drains out onto the floor.
That's exactly it. If you don't use the sign of silence to forcefully shut that auric valve and seal your energy field back up, you just bleed vital force out into the astral environment.
Which sounds incredibly dangerous.
It really is. Structural symmetry and auric sealing, they aren't just aesthetic choices here. They are vital for your survival. Without them, you end the ritual completely exhausted instead of, empowered.
So what does this all mean for you listening? I mean, the Star Ruby isn't just a tool for clearing a room of bad vibes. It's this really aggressive fundamental reorganization of your spiritual architecture.
Absolutely. It demands that you stop relying on external boundaries and actually start doing the heavy lifting internally.
It forces a complete synthesis of mind, body, and breath to create a purified microcosm, which leaves you with a really fascinating question to kind of mull over.
What's that?
Well, if a ritual codified way back in 1929 is essentially hacking your vagus nerve and your neuroplasticity through, targeted breathwork, intense visualization, and sonic resonance,
Right.
what modern technologies or daily habits are accidentally performing banishing rituals on us today without us even realizing it?
Oh, wow. That is a great point.
Just something to think about next time you put on those noise-canceling headphones to clear your head.